Hi, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Harmony, and today I'm going through my mid-year journal migration, which means I've been in the same bullet journal since January of this year, and now that we're 6 months into the year, I'm going to switch to a new one. So this is a really quick flip of my previous journal. I have been bullet journaling for over 8 years now, so I think this is like my 15th journal filled, which feels crazy to say. If you want a longer flip, let me know, but there is a lot of personal information in there, so I would have to cover up quite a bit. So my previous journal was a Leuchtturm 1917 size B6 plus journal, dot grid. I'm keeping with the same brand, same type of journal, but I'm switching to an A5, which is just slightly bigger simply because I already had it in my stash. The stickers that I use will all be linked below, but I already did a few things in this journal setup. I put my name in the front, and then in the back, I always do a really tiny grid marking just to kind of remind myself how big the pages are, how many boxes they are tall and wide. I also reinforced the back with some washi tape because I had to rip out a few pages since I had used some. And then I did a quick pen and ink swatch in the back because those are the two pens I'm using for today's setup. So the first page I'm setting up is just a cover page for the second half of the year. Normally I would use this page for an index, but Leuchtturm 1917 journals have an index pre-printed, so I am just going to decorate this really minimally and set it up as a cover page. So I'm using a transfer sticker. Transfer stickers are probably my number one journal accessory in terms of decoration because they're so pretty and easy to use, but they don't add any bulk to your pages. So then I'm coming in with my Esterbrook SD with a mini stub nib. This nib is so fun to write with and so perfect for any kind of like headers. So I am using it to write 2024 part 2, and it is inked up with J. Erbon's ink. It's a really pretty brown called Caroube de Chypre. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but it is probably my favorite brown. Okay, once I get that page done, then I am on to the actual setup of my new journal. The first collection I always set up is a future log. That's pretty standard for bullet journaling. Future log holds any event that falls outside of today or this week or this month. So if you have nowhere else to write it right now, then it goes into your future log. So I always write down things like way in the future appointments or birthdays or anniversaries or even tasks that I know will have to be done later, like some other month. I write that here. I've been setting up my future log pretty much the same way for so many years now. I split up the page into 2 columns, and then at the top of the column I put a mini calendar and I label it with that month's name, and then I leave the bottom portion blank. And if I don't label the dates vertically, then that allows me to put more than one event for each day if I need, or like they don't have to be in chronological order, things like that. So I just leave the bottom portion blank, and it has been working for me for years. So you can see here that I am going ahead and putting in July's dates. I'm using my old bullet journal just to kind of help me with, the setup. But I do this by hand. I know not everybody enjoys doing that, but I do. I think it is such like a mindless task that I can just kind of tune out and get it done. So I do tend to do all of these months by hand. And I got a comment on my last journal setup saying like, oh, this is not minimal, something like that. That's okay. I know not everybody likes doing that. So there are plenty of shops out there that make stickers or stamps or printables that will help, make this part faster. I also set up each monthly view with a Sunday start. My brain just kind of works that way. And so I don't have to put, the day labels. I just simply put the numbers because I already see the left-hand side as Sunday, so on and so forth. So for each journal, I tend to set up 7 months because that's what fits in 2 spreads or 4 pages. So 2 months per page. So I do 7 months, and then that last column, I leave that for, future events. In this case, I'll label that one as 2025, since this journal will take me all the way through December of 2024, and then I'll leave that extra column for anything past that. So I'm going in here now to label the months. I'm using my Kaweco fountain pen, the AL Piston Sport. I love this pen. It has a fine nib on it. And I'm using Colorverse ink. I think the name is Huang Cho. It's like a really pretty green and it matches the cover of this journal really well. And I'm just going in and hand lettering July through December. And then you'll see me do 2025 on the last column. So since I had the space, I'm going to go ahead and set up a full month for January of 2025. And then this last column will be any events that I need to put in my future log for the rest of 2025. So the next spread that I set up at the beginning of every journal is my order tracker. So my order tracker serves 2 purposes for me. Purpose number 1, obviously, is just to track orders. This is where I write down any online orders that I have put in that I'm waiting for them to be delivered. And I don't use this for things like grocery orders because even though I do those online, to me that feels much more like just a regular daily expense, almost like gas. And so these are for things that I am ordering outside of that, things that I use my leisure money for, like sticker orders, or if like I'm buying a new toy for my kids or things like that, I will write it here. So the way I set this up is I use a full spread or 2 pages. Each page is 3 columns. So I set up 1 column for the date that I ordered it, the middle column to write a little description about what the item or items are, and then a 3rd column just to put a check when I receive it. So I am going to use my same Esterbrook Esty with my mini stub and J. Airbon ink to label this order tracker. Very simple setup for me. I don't really like to heavily decorate these first collections because they are extremely functional and I need as much space as possible. Plus, to me, I don't want to limit myself into the style of these pages because they last me, 6 to 7 months, and I never know what kind of style I'll be into by the time we hit like October or November. So now I'm going in and labeling the tops of each column. This gel pen that you see me using for the lines and the very small writing, this is my Ride or Die gel pen. I use this thing for everything, almost, every day, multiple times a day. This pen is with me at all times. It's the Pilot Juice Up gel pen in size 03. So you'll see that I use this for all my line work. I often use it for my daily writer. I love my fountain pens, but man, there is something about this gel pen that I just can't quit. It is my absolute favorite. Okay, so my next collection that I set up is actually notes pages for my children. So I am setting up 1 page per child. I have 2 kids, 2 boys. And as a parent, I'm constantly needing a place to just write down any notes for them, for any doctor's appointments, school meetings, specialist appointments, things like that. Because even though I will put those notes in my daily log, those tend to get lost in the daily log once you fill up an entire journal. So years ago, I developed this spread, and it's really stuck with me because it's a place for me to rewrite the super important notes that I will want to refer back to. And so I don't typically transfer notes from journal to journal, but I do like having one spread for the entire 6 months that helps me at a glance see important notes for my kids. So I split each page into 3 columns: the date of the note, the type of the note, and then the note itself. So the type of note, I will write things like school meeting or pediatrician or eye appointment or specialist appointment, OT appointment, PT appointment, things like that. And I am going in again with my Esterbrook Esty, labeling one page for my older son and one page for my younger son. If I need more space for any of the notes that I am writing here, I will just simply create a new notes collection somewhere in my journal, wherever I am, and then thread it from this page to another. But typically, this is enough space for one 6-month span. If you're a parent and a journaler, I highly recommend a notes page for your kids, or some sort of landing spot for reference information for your kids. It is supremely helpful for me. Okay, so the next collection, and actually the last collection that I set up at the beginning of every journal, so we're almost done here, is my grocery list. This is such a simple and, for some reason, highly important spread for me. I set up just 2 pages, one full spread of all check boxes. And it is just a place for me to put down groceries that we need. I like to do this by hand. I have no idea why it takes forever. I just like the way it looks, so I have sped it up extremely fast for you here. But it is really just a place to write down any groceries that we need. That way I'm not grabbing little pieces of paper from the kitchen. I'm looking for little scrap paper, Post-it notes, whatever. This is just a place that I can write down what we need, and then I will fill it up over time. Okay, the last thing to do is take all of our collections that we created and log them in our index. Index is a really good way to find collections throughout your journal. I tend to use just like one page of the index. I don't really wind up needing both pages, but I like having both pages that they pre-print for me. And so this is where all the unique collections go. So let's do a flip. Here is the final flip of my new journal setup. As you can see, I keep it really minimal at the beginning of my journal. Gives me plenty of space for my daily bullet journaling, and I am so happy to have you following along with me, and I can't wait to share more. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.